Ladies and gents, we are back. This is just a little talk in regards to where we are in terms of the new lockdown and generally what you can do and what you should try and achieve to make your situation better and just mentally put yourself in the best place to survive. No, I wouldn't even say survive.
Survive.
No,
Survival.
like to make the situation better for you now and in the future because there is a lot that
Almost
you
point,
could
ladies
you
and
could
gentlemen.
change.
We're back. We're
We are
back, ladies and
back
gentlemen. Hit it.
on where me and Miles both are, and also discussing just general topics as well. It's gonna be a lot less informal, a lot more informal than it was the first time, and we're just gonna have a bit more of a laugh with it.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be slightly different, as I am not a 2 week PT anymore. July. I'm at 5 months now, so I've actually got a bit of experience under my belt. So I think I'll start with you, Miles. What's new?
Oh, what is new? For the probably four or 5 months. Probably since last time we've done an episode. And you could probably say there's not been that great a deal of much. I think in this environment that we're in all at the moment, it can almost feel like everyone's probably felt like at some point felt a little bit stuck, where
Mm.
they're trying to rebuild something that maybe you don't know whether things are going to last. You're not sure and stuff. I know definitely in the fitness industry at the moment, we've had a lot of things with like even like in like Liverpool with gyms closing. So there's always been that kind of stuff like that. Obviously, so really for me, the last kind of 3 or 4 months really is just kind of just make sure everyone, including myself, is all set, all keeping sane, all having a laugh, keep it positive, and that's the thing. That's the main thing. I think everyone at the moment is ready for 2020 to end.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So for me, it's just making sure everyone just focuses on what they can control, focus on the positive, and stuff like that. Obviously, in the meanwhile, obviously I've been playing my football season. That's now come to a little bit of a halt at the moment. Um, but apart from that, really, it's like nothing's really changed and stuff like that. We still keep going.
Yeah. It's been hard really because obviously the first time round clients wasn't exactly high, and at the minute it's just like getting a lot of experience, which it's been like kind of I want to swim, but I'm stuck kind of treading water because I just don't know what's going to happen. And obviously it's just I think everyone will understand that there's just no security in the fact of you cannot plan for the future. You cannot plan to go on holiday. You cannot plan to go and do stuff because you just don't know what's going to happen. So it's weird. Like training has probably been the biggest thing. Obviously, clients that I've had over the time, perfect. Progressions left, right, and centre. Training for myself, it's been a lot. I want to say more aggressive more than anything. Like
Yeah.
I'm I'm a lot more focused in terms of like, okay, I mean, we'll probably go into a bit more swearing with this podcast now as well. So I just wanted to get strong as fuck. That's, yeah, that was my goal. So literally, I just wanted to get as strong as I could across a multitude of movements. So realistically, up until the Wednesday night before we closed, I was at a 170 for free on a deadlift, like a standard conventional deadlift. Obviously, we haven't got a trap bar at our gym, which I definitely miss from training at gym etc. That is one of the few things I miss from gym etc. But it's just been very interesting to see, especially now I'm learning a lot more and picking up a lot more in terms of like seeing what works for me, what doesn't work for me, and also seeing what works for clients as well. Because obviously, like whilst there is so much set in stone about like what works in terms of training methods, it's still a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
Like you don't know half of what a client could do and couldn't do, and then also in the fact of like whilst you try and get to know your client the best you can, they might neglect to expand on certain information. Not in like a bad way, but like putting across that they are weak or anything like this. Not in a bad way, but their potential is a lot higher than they originally set out that they thought they could.
Yeah, a lot of people tend to have a story that they tell themselves like they can't do this, they can't do that. And I feel like one of our roles as coaches is to explore that. And this might go from somewhat level of just like, oh, I've done this, this isn't right. This could be even going down to the emotional level and stuff like that. So I think it's very important that, yeah, fair dues, we are there monetizing their sets of reps and stuff like that. But one thing that most people don't realize when it comes to personal training is how much you actually have to know someone on a really emotional level to really get the best out of your clients, but also as best out as people. I mean, the gym is such a small part of the overall photo that it's like, yeah, it's a very important part. You need to be training, you need to be consistent with it and stuff like that. But it's such a small part of your day, and if you can get the most out of that 1 hour with someone, if you see them maybe once a week, a couple of weeks and stuff like that, really change their habits with day-to-day life, you really get to see that development as a person, and over time, like they grow comfortable with you, they grow confident as a person, and it can be really rewarding. It can be really rewarding to see someone who maybe, like saying, you know, now.
I have dropped a bit of sound with you. Oh my god. The building sat outside is taking control. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say something during that, and the fact of like, I will be very honest with saying that my original goal when I first started was to be an online coach, but it surprised me a lot on how much I actually enjoy being a one-to-one coach. And in the sheer fact of like, obviously, it's a lot more time consuming being a one-to-one, but the satisfaction you get and this, like, obviously the assistance that you can provide, not just on like a physical, obviously you can see a lot more in terms of how someone performs, and you can just actually speak to them and see how they are. Because sometimes I think a personal trainer isn't just someone that tells you how many reps are doing, although I also lose count a lot on how many reps someone's done.
Everything is set below 6. If I start putting things over 6, I lose count very easily. Because
I mean,
it's more than just counting. It's like you got to monitor their form, you got to make sure that the tempo's right, the environment is right for them, and stuff like that. And it is very easy to lose count very easily.
yeah, so like a lot of the time I'll just base it off exertion and like, are they finding that hard or is it like relative? Like, we'll see. So I think whilst on paper everything can be set, there will be slight adjustments made within a program, like on a day to day, because we all know that the day to day valuables, oh, yeah, the increments and everything that will go on during the day in terms of your diet, your sleep, fresh air, steps, everything else will affect how a session goes. And it's like me on paper doesn't know how someone is going to do on a session, whereas me face to face will be able to just be like, okay, they are tired. They've come into the session and they say they didn't sleep very well, and I can adjust for that. And and then even from a motivational level, I can be like, okay, you can go two ways, can't you? You can drop it down, or you can be like, right, okay, you need to get out of this slump, so we are going to have a fairly hard session. So it's a very interesting way of dealing with people in a one-to-one basis, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Going back to what you said before about you outrightly wanted to be when you first started to be an online coach, which I think very much in this kind of world right now, especially with the 2 lockdowns happening, you know, a lot more people are going online. I mean, even like myself and stuff like that. I mean, unfortunately, people have to see my face and I have to talk a lot more on camera and stuff like that. But when you started witnessing kind of that more face-to-face interaction, do you believe that if you didn't have that interaction now as a face-to-face PT, do you think you would have been as good as an online coach as you were if you were to start being an online coach right now?
That's very interesting.
Yeah, this is something that I truly believe, where I have no issue with anyone coming an online coach. And you know what? I'll put my hands up, and I've only been doing PT for over 2 years now. But I generally believe everyone, whether you are an online coach or something like that, or a person, you need to have face-to-face experience. Because we're
Yeah,
humans.
100%.
You
Yeah.
need to interact with someone, and you need to spend a good quality time with someone on a weekly basis, day-to-day basis, or whatever it is, to fully understand how someone works. It's almost like how you would be with like a friend and stuff like that. You're like, sometimes you click with people, sometimes you don't. Sometimes like they have barriers up. Sometimes like you have different ways of thinking, and I think you can only get through that by spending time with them instead of just going through text messages, FaceTime, and stuff like. Because there's a lot of things you need to read into it. It's not just
There's also
vocal stuff like that. It's body language. It's tone of voice and stuff like that. And I think a lot of it you don't get just by going on screens and stuff.
I think it also comes down to a lot of what a coach's eye will see and what another gym goer will see.
Yeah.
So it's like, whilst you can have like Steve, who's on the next rack, and you're asking him how his form is, he's not going to be able to assess how something's going to work between the head down and the ankles up in terms of like, is a squat efficient, is a deadlift efficient, and like, whilst they might think that your deadlift is amazing, in like a biomechanical standpoint and a coach's standpoint, it might be absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
But then obviously you're going to play off the free advice that you can get on the daily instead of being like, okay, I know I need the help, so I'm going to hire a coach, which I think is a massive factor in terms of saying the biggest issue for us is giving people the position that they know they want to hire us or need to hire us. Because if they're stuck in a rut of getting free advice off your Instagram people, they're not going to know any better, and they're going to be like, well, I can get this information for free, so why should I pay you for this information? So I think this is where I feel like the PT qualifications themselves are not efficient enough, because they provide probably as much information as what, I don't know, some random Instagram person will provide themselves. Like, don't get me wrong, they might have done their qualification, but the amount of online coaches you'll see nowadays that'll just brand themselves as an online coach and not have any qualifications is kind of worrying. And like, you can say, oh yeah, go and do a squat, but then like, if they don't know what's wrong with the squat or anything else like that, like, what's the efficiency long term in terms of getting it right? And you building on a squat when you're only getting quarter depth and being like, Steve in the next rack says that's fine, so I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah, I do agree with your sense in the fact that you do get some people online that might be giving advice and stuff like that, and they've not had the experience, or they've done what might have worked for them, and now they're thinking that it works for all people. But I'm not really the type of person who tends to focus on what other people tend to do and stuff like that. I'm kind of a more of a person of, these are the values that work for me.
Yeah,
it's all trial and error. I don't really like speaking down badly on people and how people work and stuff like that. But I think, in my opinion, when you see, let's say for example, everyone's squats and deadlifts completely different. Like,
yeah,
whether everyone's got different size femurs, everyone's got the joint range of motion is completely different and stuff like that. And I just don't think you get that from going straight from being online. Now, obviously, this is more of a podcast for people who are average gym goers, people who are maybe new to the gym. This is not really a podcast for PTs. So, and also as well, no PT is going to have advice from a PT. If someone's listening to this and they think this is good advice, that's great. But the idea is, the reason why we're telling you right now this is that if you are thinking of maybe like hiring a coach, or you're thinking about taking your kind of training to maybe the next level or something like that, these are maybe the considerations that you need to think about.
It's just one of them things where I feel like everything within nutrition, training, everything else, if someone can't explain the why, and they're just saying, okay, I want you to do this, and they can't give you the reason why they're telling you to do that, change, personally. So, like, everything in terms of, like, why a movement and how little adjustments make changes in the movement should be able to be explained. Or else there's literally just been, I see all this on Instagram, and it worked for them, so I'm going to give it to you and hope for the best.
Let's flip that a little bit, actually. So, the one thing that I find with people is most people don't even know their why. So, the question, the question why, if I said to you why this, why that, and stuff like that, can hit someone on a completely different level. And for, let's say, for example, like let's say me and Mike and stuff like that, because we've dealt with people and we've know ourselves very well. When someone asks why, we can go into that. Like, why do you want a PT? Well, the reason why we want to be PTs is because we want to help people. We get good heck out of it, and we are most passionate in obviously fitness and sports. But there might be an even more. There might be an emotional reason why that happens and stuff like that. And when it comes to training, knowing this kind of why could be the reason why you go from consistently doing from one training session a week to consistently doing 2 sessions a week. And I'm not just saying that with a PT, I'm saying that with in general. It could be the difference of making you want to go to the gym more and stuff like that. So the reason why I say flip on that is the fact that I think a lot of people now, even in the world, especially with this lockdown, people still don't know their why of training. So when it comes to a big teaching workload and stuff like that, obviously technically there's loads of work going on around where Mike's living at. People are losing motivation within training because they don't know that why.
Yeah.
So, for example, for me, it's like the reason why I train and stuff like that because I want to keep myself really fit and healthy. Obviously, I love playing sport, football. Yeah, fair dues. I might not be playing at a very high level, but for me, being the best possible athlete I can makes me motivated and makes me extremely happy as a person. So whether I've got a gym or not, there's loads of things I can work on. Obviously, I can work on speed mechanics, acceleration mechanics. There's a lot of things I can work on my weaknesses and stuff like that. But that's taking me to a point, and it's taking time to the point where I know that.
Yeah. It's everything within fitness isn't just hop on a treadmill, and like you've got to know why you're on the treadmill, why you pick the treadmill, at what speed, increment, everything else, how long. Like, it's not just, oh yeah, that's a treadmill, that makes you do cardio.
Yeah, cardio therefore leads to weight loss, so therefore the treadmill must be good. But we all know that. Well, I hope you all know about that. We don't actually need cardio to lose weight. It's all down to energy balance. But that's what I mean. It's almost that kind of society plug a little bit and stuff like that. And it's something that I've been really researching in the last few months and stuff like that, how society and a lot of values and stuff like that can play a lot on kind of human like emotion. So we might get like deep, we might get saucy in this kind of podcast in the next couple of episodes. Mayonnaise. I don't know where I'm going with this. If you're watching me on YouTube and you have no idea what I'm doing right now, don't bother. Just don't ask. Don't ask.
Isn't that a celebration in the NBA? I know it's Nabry, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like NBA's like that happens every time I beat you on PlayStation. That sauce.
Oh, yeah, I'll just lead off the fact of like Warzone.
Right. Bad memories.
that's full on lockdown in the fact that anything in terms of PlayStation, obviously we have lost the fallen soldier of Thomas Winship to Assassin's Creed. Probably by this point, is it out now? Is it tomorrow?
PS5? No.
Oh, Assassins.
PS5's out in Thursday? Friday?
Honestly, I don't even know anymore. I'm that lost on days right now. I think we're recording this on a Monday, and I'm like, it takes a lot of effort for me to try and figure out that it is actually Monday, because we are now what? We're 5 days into the lockdown. 28?
So, yeah.
28? Yeah. So I think, obviously, leading back to all this, it's one of them funny things that whilst the government might not say that what we're talking about is essential, everything about it is essential. Mental, physical, like structure to your day, just the social interactions you will have if you are that kind of trainer. I'm that kind of trainer where I can be friendly as hell getting onto the session, but like for 60 to 90 minutes, if my headphones are in, you're probably not going to see them getting taken off unless I'm going for a top
I get
step.
that a lot. I get it. I think it's very important for the fact that if people see me when I'm working out and I blanket, it's not intentional. It is the fact that I'm on the zone. I'm probably thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner, and I've literally lost all sense. But that leading that's quite very important in the fact that a lot of probably people at the moment are probably maybe losing that structure right now, not knowing what days are and stuff like that. I know, especially in the first lockdown, if it wasn't for having a diary set of when I saw clients or when I was going to train and stuff like that, I think I would probably be lost in that sense. And the one thing that really helped me with that is having some kind of like calendar, putting a lot of things into it, maybe things I probably need to, like when I was going to have breaks, when I trained and stuff like that, when I was going to do my education, when I was going to eat, when I was getting ready to go to sleep, when I had free time to do anything, when I was going to draw. And that might sound very excessive, but when you can see your day physically, visually, that's it. That's what I'm thinking of. When you see your day visually like that, it takes away that level of, no, maybe not stress, but maybe it takes away something. I can't really put a word on it and stuff like that, but it allows you to just kind of make something that's maybe a big thing and turn into a really small thing because you're able to control what's going on.
Your life's not a guessing game.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in a world like right now where we've mentioned before, there's a lot of uncertainty. As humans, one of our key human needs is certainty. But certainty is one of the biggest lies we get told on a daily basis. It's a lot of metrics that ideally really don't exist. It's what man-made have gone. So over the times as we've developed and as we've grown older and stuff like that, we've been conditioned to believe in these kind of metrics. But a lot of things that maybe we teach and maybe other things people teach is that when it comes to like mental health or anything like self-help in that kind of development, they teach you to go off your own kind of metrics and start taking control in that kind of aspect.
Just to flip that ever so slightly, I think a lot of it is how you've grown up as well, because like the perception of what you think is a busy day is very different to what someone else might figure it is. Because I think I'm stuck in one of them categories where I get really angry if I don't see someone working to the same level as me.
Yeah, but is that an expectation you put onto someone else? Is that an expectation that then therefore isn't going to be met? Therefore, a response happens through that. And this is like one thing that I pretty much learned. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong. If someone's not working to the best I know they're going to work, regardless whether it's my client, football teammate, and stuff like that, I get peed off. I do. Especially when it's on football, my teammates see it. If I know that you're not putting 100% on back and you're not tracking back, it's definitely.
I lose my nut about that if I'm like playing wing.
To the max. But that's not their fault. That's mine. That's my expectations on that person in need. And
well, where do you think that's from?
See, that comes from anything. That could come from my environment. That could have come from me living up as a child and stuff like that. It could be the standard that I set myself. And this is going very, very like swish in the fact that it's going very off topic in the fact that, and it probably doesn't need it so much in this kind of podcast. But a lot of the things that we do, our actions are run by our emotions. We respond by the way we respond. And this is where knowing this and knowing the fact of how you respond to certain things may be giving you that kind of one up on the difference between, let's say, emotional eating, which is a massive key thing. I think one thing that I've really picked up on clients is like what the habits are like when they're not in their kind of center, when they're not calm, when they're starting to get anxious because of work's getting on top of them, or they've maybe not had enough sleep. And we've all done it. There'll be people listening to this going like, yeah, I know that when I'm stressed that the domino piece is straight on the first order or something like that.
It's very different for me at the minute. I think I put a post on a few weeks ago, and it was on about like taking ownership of literally everything. So like obviously we've just gone over that and expectation of someone else not working as hard, and it's like, okay, I'm going to take ownership of that and be like, okay, I understand that, I stay in my lane. But then in the same respect of taking ownership of everything that's gone right and gone wrong, and it's like, okay, if it's gone wrong, how can I change this to make it me, and taking it so I'm the only person that can fix it. So not waiting for someone else to come in and fix it and be like, okay, no one else can help me right now, I have to sort this problem myself and get it done. Obviously we've gone over that with having a coach, and it's obviously like if you're hiring a coach, you know that something's wrong and something needs to change. So that's taking ownership of that.
I'll change that language. It's not the fact that something's wrong.
Oh yeah, you want to improve it
something
potentially.
Needs to be challenged. Something needs to. Where you see yourself here, for people maybe listening, people are like, let's say like a higher level or something like that. You're not meeting that standard, and that's not wrong. It's not foreseen to be wrong. It's just seen that kind of. This is a standard that you should hold yourself. And I think everyone needs to kind of stop living this kind of, what's the word I'm trying to think of now?
Lane game.
Lane game, state kind of like really minority and stuff like that, and start trying to put like the best kind of self out there. And believe in the fact that I can believe top results.
Like I've got, obviously, if Georgia's listening to this, she'll understand the hashtag whiteboard wankers. I have mine there still, and right in the middle of it, I've got written, I don't have problems, just more work to do.
Yeah.
And
change of thinking, it's just change that term, change that language, change it. But else, people listen to this think I've gone all philosophical now.
Yeah, but it's sometimes you need that to be like complaining that your diet's shit, but someone else is cooking your food. That's not taking ownership. Saying that your gym is shit, but keep going to the same gym. It's not taking ownership of your shit. Like not getting enough steps in, that is a full ownership. Yeah. Like everything within it, and everything that you do on the daily is. There's not someone there with a gun to your head saying, okay, you have to do this.
Yeah.
You went for a job. You went to uni to pick what you wanted to do. You went down this road. You deal with whatever is on the road. and on the journey. So in the same respect, you can do the same with your training, and it's like, yes, you're not getting 10,000 steps in, but yes, you are watching Netflix for 4 hours a day, especially at lockdown at the minute. It's
all right, Mike, calm down. I didn't know this was a personal attack on me and all that. It's just, I just want to know what's going on in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Mate, finished it.
No, I've been probably on my 6th view of it. It's such a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read somewhere, I can't remember where I read it from, but you can't be fully. It said like you can't be fully confident in yourself if you ain't fully reliant on yourself. And I'll say that again. Can't be confident on yourself if you're not fully reliant on yourself.
Yeah.
So that will hit people on so many levels.
I feel personally attacked.
You're
It's
like,
2020. You can't talk me to me like this.
people taking personal attacks on that.
Yeah, if you're feeling personally attacked by anything that we're saying on this, like,
it's good.
find another podcast, because it's probably going to get worse before it gets better.
Yes.
I think we might call the freaking podcast the wake up alarm or something, because it's going to be one of them ones where, like, Miles loves a quote, I love a quote, and it's like it's expanding on it as well to make it relevant to you. And in all this we're saying is you have the finger on the button.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if you don't like the button, change the button.
Like, I think a lot of people, especially in this day and age, and I'm not just talking general fitness and stuff like that, but I think a lot of people respond rather than being proactive.
Yeah.
They're waiting for someone to tell them to do this. They're waiting for someone to or something to happen in order to this. Now, fair dues. Most times when you do something, it's because you've not been happy with the initial start and stuff like that. Let's even with myself. I didn't start my fitness career until I started getting really bullied about my weight in high school and stuff like that. And that's the thing. That's like it was that kind of one point where my granddad Steve, who was a bodybuilder, and people who've watched this already know the story and all that, saw me at a wedding and called me a fat bastard. That for me, that was the initial point. Did it make me work out? Yeah. Did it hurt?
But in the same respect of like everything like this, it's you took control. You can now laugh at that fact because you're now in a position where you're playing football, strong as fuck. Everything within this, and I'm going to say one more quote.
Go ahead. Quote show.
Nothing makes people more angrier than seeing you having a good life.
Yeah, I'll admit that.
And like,
I'll bounce off that with no one will say or do anything that isn't a true reflection of themselves in the moment.
Ooh.
Fire.
Motivation is just
quotes like.
Well, no, it's like if everything is going to be one of them ones where if you're having a great time, your career's successful, and all that, there's people that are going to be in a lower position, and you're never going to have someone in a higher position than you criticize you. It's always going to be someone lower down the scale. So if you're doing it successful or your training's going really good, no one's going to be like, yeah, but you could lift 220 instead of 200. I'm like, mate, I'm lifting 200 already, so like, just leave it out. Like, it's fine combing with those people, and if you surround yourself with the right people, and like getting a coach, having other coaches as friend, having other people that train, and like everything's going to turn into that reflection of you changing that potential button that you just seem yourself stuck on.
Yeah, and I think this very much reflects right now into the environment that we're in.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to a lot of people in the fact that they're not happy about staying home quite a lot of the time. I mean, I live on my own, and honestly, I quite love it. I mean, I quite like hearing my own voice. So, I mean, who doesn't? But I mean, like, the fact that I'm very comfortable in my own space. And it's
Yeah.
not something that I was very born with. It's something that I kind of grew with going to uni and stuff like that. But for me, when I hear someone say they're not happy in the environment they're in, this is an opportunity for you to change that. We're now spending a lot more time at home.
Yeah.
We're spending a lot more time away from humans, or if we are with humans, let's say you're with a partner, family, blah blah blah, you spend a lot more time with them. So I'm not saying split up with your missus if she's driving you up the wall and stuff like that. But what I'm trying to say is the fact that if there's something, obviously, if there's something clearly not right in the environment that you're in at the moment, you've got the obligation to change that. So whether that's the smallest detail of changing the layout of your kitchen so you stop yourself from snacking, changing the food that you have in your fridge and stuff like that. If it's something like having your work life, so I don't know that, in a completely different room and having it on its own. So when you do go in your living room and you do have, like, let's say for example, with your kids, you want to play the PlayStation, something like that. I say this like I know this all. I know I'm 25 years of age. So, but what I'm trying to say in the fact that you have that element of control in the fact that you can make these different things. You might try something and it might not work straight away. It might actually cause more pain, but it's something that, and we can go about this a little bit more in different podcasts and stuff like that. But I feel like, especially with this second lockdown coming along, with the 4 weeks that we're going to have in it, I've made it a mission for everyone to really challenge that environment and really make sure that when we do come out of it, because we will do come out of it, whether it is in a month or so long, of how many people say it's going to do it for and stuff like that. Well, I'm either. By the time we spend less time out of it, let's make that bulletproof and stuff like that.
Because I think I'll be 100% honest. I really don't think training is going to happen for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not in a mental mind space to be saying I want to train with bands, especially with the training that I want to do. So I've just put the mental obligation on myself to improve my service, because that in the long term is going to make the difference, because this is the optimal time for me to now learn more stuff to help my clients and doing whatever I want to do and learning stuff. And just, yes, I'm still getting the steps in, so I'm fortunate enough to still be working during all this, but it's providing a lot more than your Instagram coach back there again.
No.
It's just, well, no, you like, if I think it's one of them things where if you want to be one of them coaches that'll stand out, and if you want to be with a coach that can really help you, they're going to invest in themselves. And whilst I know I'm investing in myself, I know Miles is investing in himself. I feel like the same should be done for you. Obviously, we're not saying go and be a PT, go and qualify to then be your own coach, but just
there's too many
your own.
PTs. Stop taking my job.
Well, I know they're all turning into online coaches now anyway. But in the same respect, we're saying this, but you can still do the same at home now, especially because it's not obviously like you can go out and sit in the garden and have a beer.
You can, but it's going to be very miserable. I mean,
yeah, it's going to be very cold.
Probably more than likely going to get cold.
Yeah.
Wet, damp. Maybe get a gazebo. That's the kind of thinking you need to have.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying you should be sitting in the back garden drinking beer. If you're doing that, you need to consider your life, in my opinion. But if you're someone who is using, let's say, oh yeah, but we did so well in the first lockdown because of the lovely weather. Well, we're living in England.
Yeah.
This weather is not going to be the greatest at all at the moment. So if you still want to get your running trainings on, do a run, but just knowing the fact you're going to probably do it in rain. So get some joggers.
It's one man one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was literally about to say then, just as a little thing, it's like if you know it's going to rain, just bring an umbrella.
Well, that'd be weird to run with an umbrella, that isn't it?
Like, yeah, Like as an analogy though, it's just like if you
Yeah.
know, like obviously we know now everything's hit the fan again.
Yeah.
You just prepare yourself for the best. You prepare yourself to make the best of the opportunity, and in the same. Oh, okay, great. It's cloudy. It could rain. Just make sure you not physically, mentally. I think is the biggest one right now.
Yeah, I think. I say I think I know. I think a lot of people are getting hit a lot more with mental things, and I don't know whether it's always been there, but I don't know whether or the fact that everyone's making a massive big kind of point about mental health, and the fact it's come to the front, therefore it's been viewed a lot more. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not. I'm saying it makes sense that the body is run by the brain, like our nervous system and stuff like that. So therefore, we should take, if not more importance, to make sure that brain is working. Let's say let's even put this down to an even less level. Let's say like you're an athlete, like something's happening. Let's say like you start getting like a niggle or something like that. You're going to see a physio. You're going to do your stretching. You're going to do your rehab before that injury gets worse. And I think the same needs to be done for the brain, or the mind, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I think
It's just. There's so many analogies.
yeah, it's a big topic and stuff like that, and I think without putting it too much at home, without swaying it away from the main points and stuff like that, you do need to take care of things physically and mentally. They do come in hand in hand. And I think again, this lockdown, if you let it, could be a really good opportunity to do that. And stuff like that. And if you don't, then like Mike said, if you're not someone who thinks training's the great way, that's fine. Work on other things. I know a few people have told me already, like, I don't want to train. It's like fair dues. Like, if the gym was your place of doing training and you don't like any other environment, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Well, I've still got stuff set out for clients. Like I'll be honest with that, but I'm not. I'll probably say the same for you as well. I'm not your typical Zoom hit class coach. I don't want to be that kind of coach.
Oh, I hate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. You gotta do Zoom lessons. You gotta do, and I think the way I've looked at it in the fall that vibe, because I know what kind of coach I am. For the people who have been trained by me and stuff like that, they know that I get quite close and personal. Like if I'm telling you to, I don't know, if I'm telling you to engage your lat, I'll point to your lat.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Because I think that kind of mind muscle connection and all that is very important, and that internal loading is very important to be able to express. Now, a challenge for me is obviously I can't go to the screen and be like that. Like, it just wouldn't work. It's just not going to work. So, even for myself, it's developing that skill of maybe being a bit more vocabularies. And I know due to myself already, and probably already people sussed about very on, I'm not very great with words. I'm very not. My chat a lot of shit, but I'm not very good with words. It's probably the same words. I'll just repeat, and hoping they'll get the same message. But there's always an opportunity for growth, whatever the environment. It's just whatever you choose to do with it.
Yeah. I feel like this could go on and on and on, but I think like we could probably summarize it into like three main things. Like I'd probably say check your circle,
Like that.
check your mentality, and just figure out what you want to do and why you want to do it.
Yeah. I'd probably say the same thing. I'd just say like have a whole check of my environment. Make sure that the people that you're spending time with, the living arrangement, your sleeping arrangement, your habits, they're in check.
Yeah.
And if they're not, then do something about it. Change the smallest things. The second thing I would probably suggest to people is still move. Like if you got a stationary job, I know Mike did a post about 10,000 steps. But if people are worried about not getting that 10,000 step goal or the magic number that most people tend to get, go for a range. Go for a range of I don't know, random numbers. If you can get at the moment, if you only get 4,000 steps, go for a range of 6,000 to 8,000 and try to push.
Yeah.
The next week, try to go for 8,000, 10,000. Then push and push and push. Go for what works for you. Try
Like, just leading back to the steps thing, it's quite funny because obviously a progressive overload isn't just resistance training.
Yeah, it's the amount of volume.
Progressive overload is anything that's getting loaded higher and higher. So even just steps is a progressive overload. So I've done that before with clients where I've said, okay, if you can't get this many steps, great, start lower, find a way you're comfortable with, and work from there. But obviously, I put a post on the other week on about winter bodies. Like bodies are built in the winter, and I'm like, they're not really. It's a lot harder right now, especially with a bloody lockdown, to get in good shape. You don't want to go out and do steps. You can't even train anymore. Nutritionally, the supermarkets are trying to shove Christmas stuff in your face, and if we
Oh.
events everywhere, so it's the same again down to your circle, and it's like if you're in a circle that would be like, oh no, one mince pie won't hurt. Obviously, if you're in an environment that doesn't understand why you're doing something yourself, this is just gone. This is past you understanding why you want to do it. It's trying to explain it to someone else, and it being a foreign concept to them. And I think that's like a really big challenge for some, especially some of my clients, where because other people that they're with, or family, friends, etc., don't understand why they're doing something, they just, or they don't understand it. They're like scared of it and just push negative vibes on it all the time. So
feeling it and understanding why that happens. Like you said, Mike, this is a topic that we can go a little bit more detail into another episode. It's something that we could definitely spend a lot of time discussing and maybe sometimes recycling and stuff like that.
yeah.
But as we always do when we close things off, what would you say is your 3 points for people to start doing in this new lockdown? So what people would you say are doing, and then we'll pull that quits.
Just to go slightly away from actually what we've said, I think we need to go into the mental health. Obviously, we'll save this for another day, but as a topic, it's okay not to be okay. It's how you deal with not being okay that's the biggest factor.
Yeah.
And sitting, I mean, it's really hard for me to say right now because I'm in a really dark room, but sitting in a dark room and complaining about everything that's going on is not the way to deal with it. So leaning into the second one, taking ownership of everything, and then understanding why you want to do it, because that'll probably be the biggest motivational push for you. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I can't too bad, but yeah, we'll go on, mate.
I went. What?
See what I mean about PTs can't count.
Mental. Fuck, I forgot what it was. Mental. Ownership. So and understanding why. Yeah, that's free. Behave.
Yeah. For me, I say revisit what you did in lockdown 1, because if it's happened once before, it's going to be a little bit easier the second time running. So, yeah, fair dues, we might not be spending so much time in it, but if you did things differently in lockdown 1 and they worked for you, do that again. At least that takes one stress out of it. The second thing I would probably say is challenge yourself. Set a new goal. If it's something where, for example, you're injured, or let's say for example, you haven't got that much equipment when you're training, find something new. And then my third one would be probably, like Mike just said, like look at your kind of environments. I know that kind of ties down really into kind of one and kind of find things that work for you and stuff like that. But maybe look at what makes your world tick, whether that's mindset, stuff like that. And maybe then things could probably help.
Yeah.
But right, ladies and gentlemen, it is very good to be back. I know me and Mike have very much rambled on very much, but if you managed to stick to this nearly 50-minute podcast, thank you very much. We hope the thing that we've obviously said today has massively helped you guys out. It's very good as well to even us two to even just talk about these kind of things. It gets things off our chest.
Yeah.
But if you can make sense of anything that we said today, and maybe you've got a little bit of a question towards it, you may be sure you can obviously message. You can message us on one or two. Usually our stuff is in the bio, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, and stuff like that. So, guys, as always, stay safe. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Oh, I hate that funny quote.